Oh God.
That dipshit. The absolute nemesis of one of the members of our coterie.
Malcolm.
I'd forgotten that he looked quite so much of a tool.
On you go.
Hello, pretty boy. Alexander Dushan. Alexander is the other apprentice student of the more senior apprentice student of Elizabeth O'Neill, and a fellow Tremere. Has been in the city and helping Elizabeth for longer than Malcolm's been embraced, and is very, very sure of his position, or what it should be, or what he feels it should be, which is not what it actually is. Is willing to wheel, deal, and stab in the back anyone to get what he wants. And he's a ruthless sod. He will kick puppies, push innocents in front of on-moving vehicles to get what he wants. Well, we met after the embrace. We've been taught by Elizabeth together underneath the streets of underneath Glasgow University.
Definitely underneath Elizabeth.
And
Yay.
the prerequisite competition thereof.
Basically, Malcolm and Alexander were both children of Elizabeth. She made them together and educated them together. They have weird and creepy blood love triangle thing going on. Alexander has nothing but contempt for everyone else in the coterie, despite the fact that he is so ridiculously wet he makes Edward Cullen look less shitty by comparison. He is a brown-nosing little sycophant who spent a fuck ton of time sucking up to Elizabeth when she was alive. Somehow manages to blame the rest of the coterie for her death, despite the fact that we tried to get her to safety within Night Elements, and he literally dragged her out of Night Elements, claiming he was getting her to safety, and then left her alone in her haven from when she was dragged out and murdered, and then somehow still managed to incredibly wetly and resentfully blame all of the rest of us, especially Malcolm, for this fact. What a tool. What an utter little brown-nosing tool.
The biggest simpering little man incapable of any independent thought that isn't designed to support his obsession with Elizabeth. And when Elizabeth's not there, his obsession that he's actually better than what he actually thinks he is. He has no evidence of this. Look at me, I'm a GQ model.
He's as annoying as Joffrey.
You were a bit on the side to abuse and were just competent.
It's just like, oh god, another fucking pretty little fancy fight. Just like, look at them, almost brandishing sword over there. Wow. Like, this is the company I keep. Amazing. That's at least though on the subject, honestly.
There, Malcolm and Alexander are rivals for Elizabeth O'Neill's attention as mentor and primogen of the Tremere in Glasgow. Who else's opinion would we care about other than Elizabeth's? One true Elizabeth, our mentor, our teacher. Alexander was pushing for her to leave town, I think it was, or at least get out of Dodge, and she thought he was overreacting. This is after Bryce took a bullet to the head from young Master Fraser, and the next night, I want to say day, but next night, we find that Elizabeth has been dragged out into the sun, which what we assumed was the Second Inquisition. Then encountering grief-stricken Alexander. My money's still on he got backstabbed and didn't. But anyway, who was basically whimpering in the corner, just watching her death over and over again in his haven.
Underneath Glasgow Uni Library, I believe. And it was very over dramatic. Like, even for Toreador standards, it was over dramatic.
Yeah,
was he not like shirtless in like tight trousers, and obviously like vampires cry blood, so he was just like covered in blood.
Yes, he was shirtless though. For some reason in my head, I have him in one of those Byron-esque.
Yeah, I always think of him in like one of the big flouncy Mr. Darcy shirts.
Yes,
He was doing Anne Rice proud.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Louis would be on this.
He was a whiny attempt at like, oh god, what would the not Lestat, the other one.
Louis.
Louis.
Only lacking any kind of
Charisma?
spine, really.
Louis didn't have much of a spine anyway.
Well, he didn't go insane though. And
Louis was vaguely likable. Alexander really doesn't.
Alexander's not. I mean, he was you're going to do this, or else, because I am a foppish little boy who can't do anything because Mummy's not here anymore.
Yeah, Alexander has all the kind of magnetism and charisma of a dog toad.
No, I think that's the conservative you were playing earlier, remember?
Oh no, he's got plenty of magnetism.
He's got magnetism and
Not what's on the
charisma.
sheet. Well, you can actually. He is a conservative, so.
Even conservatives get laid. That's why we can't get rid of them.
Strictly speaking, he did get laid, but that was Alexander did get laid, but that was a horrible abuse of power and a poor power dynamic of
because I believe Elizabeth was having relationships with at least both of her students. Whether or not she's had relationships with any other students she's had in the past, I don't know.
Probably, but please
and
note,
also,
she can't blood bond this now, so how else is she going to maintain loyalty?
And also, Rose and Elizabeth had incredible snark fests. Both of us were kind of butting heads about kind of being head of the coterie, but neither of them were the punch it out type. It was lots of just sarcastic cutting comments.
That was always excruciating to watch.
So much fun.
I'm sorry I missed that.
I'm not. Coterie was snarky for days afterwards. You're not the one that
That just makes it more entertaining.
For you.
Yeah, more snark.
I get waking up. I prod Katrina. I open the windows, draw back the curtains, and yes, a lot of that. I hate you.
Rook, the head of the Anarchs.
Pretty sound.
A good guy.
Mm-hmm.
You would say that.
Yeah, well. Shall
General-
wears his Anarch heart on his sleeve.
Yeah, he like.
I think that's other people's hearts.
He's been around since about 1918, I think. Pretty solid leader of the Anarchs in the city, though I really didn't get his thing against the Sinbloods either.
As far as I'm aware, though, Rook was actually an okay bloke to deal with. Like, he wouldn't necessarily like start a fight if it wasn't necessary.
Yep, he's pretty solid.
He was less reprehensible than the princes, yeah.
But he's not been heard from in a little while. He had gone to the McGinleys to talk to them about something, and then never heard from again.
Yeah. Funny that.
I do remember that when the coterie announced that we were going to be looking into what happens to Elizabeth and Bryce, he did say that as the representative of the Anarchs, he could offer us no protection. If we were doing anything, we would be doing it on our own and completely unconnected to anybody else. Nobody else wanted to be connected to what we were doing, and they wanted nothing to do with it at all.
Though he did privately at least.
He and Elizabeth were lovers back in the day before she developed a taste for whiny little schoolboys.
That's Rose's tool of a sire.
Oh
Basically,
wait,
yeah.
I
That pretty much sums it
was-
up. I mean, he doesn't really deserve more worse than that.
He was the guy that was like, about the fucking list or whatever. He was refusing to let Ninian and like Sarah in, so he was like, "Give me a kiss and I'll let them in" or whatever. It's like, wow, what a douche! Like,
Yep.
You guys keep such fantastic company. I love it.
You're so
God.
kind.
Yep, he is Rose's sire. He's a complete and utter tool. He's basically who Alexander presumably wants to grow up to be, and personally, there are a couple of people who I personally would quite like to yeet first into the sea, then into heavy traffic, and eventually into the sun.
Ah, you bastard. This is Rose's sire, Marcus Ramsey, who is he the Toreador Primogen currently? No.
He is Keeper of Elysium.
He's Keeper of Elysium. So he is in charge of organizing Elysium whenever that happens. And it just so happens that he has a get who owns a nightclub in Glasgow. He makes very good martinis, is incredibly charismatic, but also very politically savvy, and pretty much uses people as and when he needs to for his own political gains. I do not know this human.
This is Gabrielle. This is Happy's sire. Now, Happy has known this person for almost exactly 100 years, and the number of things that Happy could tell you about her could be listed on one hand. She is a spectacularly secretive person, though cloaks it very much in a layer of charm and seduction. She will show up, she will take over Happy's life for a few days, maybe a few weeks, and then she will disappear again as quickly as she has arrived. Happy has always looked out for her. She always definitely has Happy's best interests at heart, but there is clearly a far longer and far older game being played there, of which Happy and possibly everyone else around is just a pawn. Her reasons for turning Happy, her reasons for making him into the creature that he is today, remain close-lipped and remain her own. One day, Happy would like to get many, many answers from her, but anytime he has tried, the questions have always fallen on deaf ears and been drowned in the finest French champagne. The last time that she showed up somewhat out of the blue, which is her style. I mean, she's not one for flying ahead or arranging a travel visit. She will just show up. She stayed with Happy for a couple of nights and rather cryptically did keep on uttering the words, "I just want you to be happy, Happy," which...
Didn't she show up in your coffin in Night Elements?
That's largely her style. Not necessarily in Night Elements, but showing up in my coffin is largely her style. And yeah, the cryptic words of "I just want you to be happy, Happy" were the last things that she said before she yet again disappeared into the night.
Oh god.
Shalva, you might want to chime in here.
Yes.
Well, Shalva got a message from Arush. It was a picture message with a picture of a temple in flames, and asked for Shalva's help because they were being attacked. Shalva made his way there quickly, with the coterie joining him to back him up.
This is basically where no good deed goes unpunished. We were going with Shalva to the temple, and I think we happened upon a racist attack that was taking place right outside.
And found Arush outside being battered by a bunch of unknown assailants at the time.
And because we are all fine, moral and upstanding former human beings, and not just because we absolutely love a Barney, we waded straight in and dealt as much righteous violence as we could possibly manage.
We engaged them. Shalva was somewhat pissed off, understandably, and may have taken somebody's head off.
If memory serves, it was a really, really brutal fight. Like, some of us took quite a lot of damage.
And yeah, we routed the attackers, made sure Arush wasn't dying. Zuri was there as well, and she had fed on one of the attackers and threw the blood up. things got a little bit hairy when we heard sirens, realised the police were going to be arriving soon. So we kind of got Arush back into the temple and then hightailed it out of there.
We did stop the attack on the person that was being attacked, which was definitely the main thing. I think they were trying to firebomb the temple as well, so we stopped that. And one of the people we put down was a hard bastard who had weapons, if memory serves. However, it turns out that this particular racist thug was a very well-connected racist thug. He belonged in some manner to the prince of the city, something that, without giving too much away, the prince of the city made very, very sure that we were aware of rather forcibly later on. As you may or may not become aware, the prince, probably in similar fashion to princes everywhere, very, very fond of his grand gestures. So had an ornate mahogany box, probably specially made, knowing this man, exquisitely and immaculately varnished. And then the head of this man was put in.
What a tool.
And this box was delivered to the coterie. Now, I'm not going to lie, when this box showed up, the coterie's first thought was, it's a bomb. But it turned out that inside the box was the head of this racist thug with a message from the prince carved into his forehead, simply saying, mine. This was, of course, a terrible slight that we had committed against the prince of the city, something for which there would almost certainly be retribution.
Nah. Excellent, thank you. That was great.
Zero. The thin blood who Shalva has a particular interest in because she looks very much like someone he used to know a long time ago.
Yeah, someone we've had not as much dealings with as we have with, was it Luke, the small boy? Or Archie, but, you know, yet another one of the thin bloods who are hunted by seemingly everyone other than us. I can't remember the last time we saw her, actually.
Well, the last time most of us saw her was during the attack on the temple. She killed one of the racist thugs.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, she drank his blood and then vomited it all up again, like, in front of me, and then essentially thanked us for what we'd done and told us to get the fuck out of there before the cops showed up.
Yes, we left when the sirens were going.
Yep.
Yes, because that was the thing, wasn't it? It did look like what seemed like a racist attack was very probably a pretext to kill at least one of the thin bloods.
And almost certainly
Probably
her,
her.
because she seems to have sanctuary there in the temple.
Where is she now?
She is in the Hindu temple. She's under the care of Arush and Kavya.
Okay, what's she doing down there?
Being in a cage, being fairly mental. Basically frenzying.
For obvious reasons, we have not had many dealings with thin bloods, so I don't know if all thin bloods are as strong as her, or if she's just a particularly strong thin blood. But
She also seemed to have some pretty amazing powers at that point. She was cloaked in shadows during that attack.
very good point. She did seem to be. She was acting a lot more like a vampire than it has been told to us that thin bloods can act. Which again, either we've been lied to, or she is just special.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did leap at someone's throat and pretty much tear it out.
Yeah, she's again, like quite a lot of the things. She's a lot of the thin bloods. She's a pretty tragic figure who clearly really doesn't deserve the level of hatred and hunting that she gets. Obviously, she, Luke, and Archie were associates at some point. When we last met Archie, he told Shalva that she had been pregnant when she had been turned and lost the baby, as you would expect for that. It doesn't seem to. So, yeah, she is, again, very definitely a pretty tragic figure, and one that Shalva has a lot of obligations towards.
He wants to help her because she's struggling with her condition of being kindred. But he's not made a great deal of progress on that because it requires looking into Golconda, which is kind of a big task. lots of people have tried that, including Anna, and haven't gotten very far. We do have a lead on it, but we've not really been able to follow up with other stuff that's been going on. Caviar. Chalbis someone he has immense respect for and a fair amount of affection. She tends to be relatively hands-off, but is there if he really needs her. He knows he can seek her out for support and guidance, but tries, to stand on his own 2 feet as much as she can. She's relatively mysterious. We've not seen an awful lot of her, but she seems to be fairly active in terms of taking an interest in what's going on. And I would say that she appears somewhat neutral. Like I don't mean that she's necessarily playing sides off against each other, but she doesn't really seem that involved in the politics of any particular group, be it Camarita or Anna or whatever.
Good dancer.
Good dancer.